Hi, Smarties. Today we are discussing body doubling. We chat about what it is, why it's effective, and discuss various examples of body doubling. If you have been a longtime Smartie, thank you so much for being here and for sharing episodes. It really means a lot to us when you share with your friends and your teachers and your peers the content that we are sharing here on the podcast. That is one fantastic way of supporting us. But if you wanted to support us in another way, go ahead and sign up for our Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/learnsmarterpodcast. That's a really easy, simple way of supporting the work that we do here at Learn Smarter Podcast, as well as we thank you with freebies, extras, and more behind the scenes content. With that, let's dig in.
You want to learn faster, but sometimes working harder is just not the answer. You have to learn smarter. The Educational Therapy Podcast.
Hi, Smarties. Welcome to episode 346 of Learn Smarter, the Educational Therapy Podcast. I'm Stephanie Pitts.
And I'm Rachel Kapp.
And if you could see it.
We're laughing because I just blew my nose.
Literally. And she had a big smile on her face. It was funny. She was trying to hold it in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's been a hot minute since we've actually recorded anything.
Today is January 15th.
Yes.
We in Southern California have been dealing with these devastating wildfires for about a week, a little over a week at this point. Everybody in LA has been impacted. So if you've been a longtime listener of this podcast, you know two people who have been directly impacted by the fires. Thank goodness our homes are okay. We're safe. Air quality, not great. But we're starting to hit some normalcy. But I'm even reluctant to say that because these fires aren't contained. There's still wind advisories going on. It has been as traumatic and dramatic as the Northridge earthquake of 94, which we both were living. Steph and I are LA natives. We both know a lot of people have lost their homes. And we are going to look for ways that we, as a Learn Smarter podcast community, can support people who've lost their homes. I'll be honest, we're just trying to survive right now, both of us. Steph shared in the episode that was released this week that she is from the Pacific Palisades, which has been totally decimated by these fires. And there's a lot of grief for both of us. I'm trying not to cry.
Listen, you guys, when I recorded that originally, I started crying, so I had to stop.
Yeah. We're talking about the episode that was released on January 14th, if you want to go listen. The sadness is palpable in the city. The weight of everything is heavy. The amount of respect for our first responders. And so many people are stepping up in ways to do things.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Elliot and I went to Target and basically bought Target and brought it to a fire station. And of course he loved it because he's 3.5 and doesn't have a full appreciation of what's going on. And he got to see the helpers and he was thrilled about that. And he was thrilled to be a helper. But it's been as devastating as it is on the news. We have heard from a lot of you and a lot of our friends in the podcasting community who have been through their own sort of natural disasters and tragedies. And we are extremely thankful to be thought of. It means a lot to us. And I don't know what else to say other than it's devastating.
It is. You know, it makes me think of, as you were sitting there talking, I remember we had this conversation right when Kobe Bryant died.
Yeah.
And COVID hit.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant's death, for whatever reason, shook me to my core.
Yeah. And then COVID was right after.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know why, but while you were talking, it just took me right back to that moment of you talking and saying that, like, just citywide, like, just the feeling of
grief.
And when things are just so heavy and feel out of control and, you know, you can't fix it. You can help, but you can't fix it. And that feels hard. And sort of, how do you march on in a way that, like, makes sense?
And there's no escaping the information of it too.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I have young kids and we have chosen not to keep the news on all day. But, you know, they see my tension and my reaction when the app gives a notification. And so we're all using an app here in LA just to sort of monitor our safety.
Oh, another fire. Yeah.
I will never get over the night that the Palisades fire was coming over the mountain. It's really hard for people to understand really how far away I live from the Palisades. It's not close. Mm-mm. So to see that fire kind of come over the mountain and, you know, you can see it from my house and my brother lives in the hills and it is a collective trauma. And in a city that already doesn't have enough housing, I'll just say to see the price gouging that is illegal and currently going on is so disgusting and distasteful when what we really need to be doing is getting people sheltered. We're talking a lot about the Palisades fire because that's physically closer to where we are and Steph's history with it. But the Eaton fire, which took place in Altadena, we also know a lot of people there too.
Yeah.
So
it's just a lot.
It's been a lot. And I'm not going to lie, it feels weird recording an episode right now.
I know.
I kind of said to Steph, do we really have to do this today? And she kind of just planned and scanned and planned on the calendar and kind of just broke it down what was going on the next few weeks for us. And yes, we do have to record. Maybe some normalcy will help. Hopefully if people just want to skip ahead and maybe they didn't want to hear all our fire chat, that's totally fine too. But
yeah,
I wish I had something profound to say about it other than we hope our audience is safe and sheltered and warm. And it's about to get really cold in LA on top of everything. And hopefully we get some rain. I don't think it's forecasted, but it'd be really great to get some rain in the city. So if you have suggestions or ideas about how we can make an impact as a Learn Smarter podcast community, we're totally open to that. It's a bit overwhelming, all the avenues right now of support.
It is.
But there are people and communities, and I'm thinking about families that live in multi-generational homes that are going to need help for a really long time. So I know the news will move on. I know that there are some snowstorms expected on the East Coast. That is probably going to take up some attention. But we're waiting for the dust settle to sort of figure out where our greatest impact can be.
Yeah, next steps.
Yeah, we'd love it if you would join us in that. And what's clear is a little bit goes a long way here.
One foot in front of the other, you guys.
Yeah.
No, just it is what it is.
Steph hasn't said it, but her childhood home is no longer standing, and her school and
my grandparents' home,
your grandparents'
my friends' homes. It's just everything.
Homes are the people who are inside them, but it's also the four walls and the safety of it. So you have those memories, but yeah. So let's move on. Before we both start crying.
Let's celebrate a win, because I have tears in my eyes.
Okay. What's the win?
The win is that I have contacts. Now, they arrived.
Okay. Okay. Talk about that.
For those of you who don't know.
Steph is aging. She's aging.
And I had to start wearing glasses over the summer because my eyes were getting too tired. And I hate them.
Your eyes, or you hate the glasses?
Listen, I'm appreciative that my eyes lasted as long as they did without needing support. But now that they need support.
You're talking to someone who was wearing glasses in second grade and contacts in fourth. So, like.
Listen, my mom got glasses when she was 2. So I'm very grateful that I lasted this long. However, some of the Mike students were laughing at me because I was like talking about trying to get the contact into my eye and how to get it out and just all of that. And this is just a learning curve that is so weird. But the contacts work, they fit, and I don't have to have glasses on my face. And I'm very grateful for that. So that's my win.
So how many hours a day would you say you're wearing your contacts?
This is an unclear question because they literally came the other day and I was wearing the trial ones. So I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 that I've done. But like the next pair I put in is the first pair from the pack.
Are they dailies?
Yeah, they're dailies. Because my eyes are too dry. I can't deal with the monthly ones.
Okay. So what was really fun for me and what like precipitated me getting LASIK, which was hands down the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
Because my vision was quite bad. Like, and it was getting to the point I was in graduate school. Steph, do you remember me getting LASIK?
Not really.
Okay.
But it might have been you did it like when we weren't close.
Yeah, it could have been. It was because my days were so long that I was putting my contacts in at like 7:15 and not taking them out until like 10:30 at night. And that's really when my eyes were getting really dry, and I started having to take my glasses with me out to see sun, and I hate wearing glasses. So I will say my brother also has poor vision, and now he's back to glasses after LASIK. He got LASIK first and was like, you got to do this. And I'm dreading that. I'm dreading the aging. It's not going to fix like difficulty reading a menu, you know?
Just wait for it to happen.
I know. And I always make fun of you because your phone is like, your font is bigger than mine.
But I'm 7 years older than you.
I know. It's a little preview of what's to come.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's your win.
Yeah.
I love that we're talking about eyes and bodies because that's what we're supposed to be talking about today.
Nice segue.
On this episode of Learn Smarter, the Educational Therapy Podcast. We have been trying to do this episode for a really long time. It's so funny, even after 345 episodes, we're like, how have we not talked about this?
I know. So body doubling.
Yeah. I don't know that I knew the term, but I definitely have done body doubling for decades. So let's go ahead and, how would you define it?
Well, I was just thinking body doubling is having that accountability.
Exactly.
Body doubling is having that other person to keep you on track, to help you, to do all those things. This is what study groups are, basically.
Yep.
This is what studying with a friend, etc. I was just thinking back to when we did our
Boss Lady weekends.
We did Boss Lady weekends, but also when we did our board certification.
Sure.
Right? Sometimes it's not that you need help doing it, it's that you need help so that you get started and actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just having a way to do that. And that is body doubling.
I strongly recommend having a person, like this is the same thing as when you're going and running errands and you're on the phone with someone. You are holding yourself.
That's you.
That's very much me. If I call you, I'm like driving in between errands, right?
All the time.
And then I'm like, I gotta go do this return. Let me call you back. And then I may or may not call you back.
100%.
But it absolutely helps to have two people working in the same space, but working on what they need to work on. A lot of the times, you know, Steph and I meet twice a week, typically, to podcast and plan out content. And sometimes they just turn into a body doubling session of like, hey, I need to work on this. Give me 20 minutes. And we're sitting on Zoom with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not necessarily about the interaction that happens with the other person. It's just about the fact that another person is there and kind of honestly waiting for you.
Yeah, you know, it's the scheduled time.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the accountability, it's just the sense of urgency that your brain gets that signal that you need to do what you need to do and just get it over with. And, you know, sometimes in sessions, this is exactly what ends up happening is we are body doubling with our clients because they need help getting started, keeping going, etc. And it is really common for people with ADHD or executive functioning challenges that need to get started or stay on task.
So there's a few reasons why it's effective. Steph, you want to go into this one?
One of the biggest things, and I'm sure everybody can relate, right? Procrastination. Let's take something that everybody hates doing. Taxes. Okay? Everybody procrastinates, right? Like I have the email in my inbox. It's unread that I need to get together the stuff for taxes. And I'm like, oof. When's the last moment?
I immediately archived that email and I was like, don't tell me again.
This is so indicative of our personalities. Okay. So I was like, okay, when do I really have to pay attention to this email? Like it'll just sit there until then. So, and this is why people get extensions and all of that, right? Or the people that are literally turning in their taxes and running to LAX airport at 11:59 because it's due at midnight. I am not one of those people, but I know people who are those people, and that's okay. But the presence of another person helps with that task initiation, knowing that you need to get it done, and then breaking through with like the getting started is so like, I do not want to sit there and have to get through all the things that I need to get through in order to compile all the things that the accountant needs. Like, this sounds like a terrible task to me. And every year I sit there and think, oh, I'll be more organized next year. And then I don't. The same thing happens every time. And that's okay. I get through it. But everybody else, you're probably shaking your heads going, yep.
It's extremely relatable.
Right? Okay. So it helps you with the overcoming of the procrastination. If Rachel and I sat down and said, all right, we're going to work on our taxes next week at such and such time, right?
It would get done.
It would get done. There would be some kicking and screaming, but still, it would get done because I would hold you to it and you would hold me to it.
Totally.
First of all, we wouldn't create that goal because we know that we wouldn't want to do it, but still.
We're realistic with our expectations of ourselves.
But knowing that Rachel was present, even if she's doing her own thing, is going to make me stay on task and make me finish.
Mm-hmm. It minimizes distractions. Like, you've set aside a time now to work on a task, and therefore you have a higher chance of doing it because you're like, okay, this is the time that I said I was going to do it, and there are other people there saying they're going to do it. In the past, when we've done Learn Smarter Pro, which is our group coaching program for learning specialists and educational therapists looking to build their own private practices, they have created their own body doubling opportunities. There are times, we would meet and then they set up another meeting themselves later in the week to kind of go through the homework and talk things through. It's extremely effective.
It really is. And it activates the brain to want to get started and be motivated. And when you see other people are doing things that are hard and that they don't really want to do, it's not an ideal preferred task, it can help reduce the overwhelm, right? It's less isolating when you can work with someone or talk it out, right? If we're both working on our taxes, and we need to find the number of what is assigned to our businesses, Rachel sit there and say, Steph, where do I get this number from? And that can help her move through what she needs to move through in order to actually be successful with the task.
Everybody is clear that before I Google anything, I'm going to ask Steph about it.
I am her Google. Even if I have to end up Googling it for her. But that being said, this is one of those things where I've had long conversations with parents about people who feel worried that when their learner wants to go study with a friend or study in a group, that they're just going to goof off.
Totally.
And it can be so effective to study in a group and far more productive than studying on their own. For some kids, it just works better. And that's for studying for midterms or finals, those kinds of things, or working on a big assignment. As adults, if you're looking for someone to body double with, a friend, or they even have some programs where they match you up with someone and you can sit on Zoom. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it's called, but it's there. So having somebody you can rely on to just sit down with some time doesn't have to be a family member, but it could be a family member. So think about how effective it can be getting that thing done that you don't want to do.
Let's make things a little less painful.
Right?
Yes.
I was going to say, let the kids do it when they ask.
Yeah.
And try it with them too. What do they need to get done so you could get something done that is on your list as well?
Why does my list never get shorter?
These are questions for the universe.
These are the big questions.
Yeah.
With that, Smarties, we wish you all a great week and stay safe.
Yeah. Have a great week.